Well, from the airplane buff to putting NA on airplane mode, let's talk about what went wrong for NA at Worlds. And now we're going to have a larger conversation about NA in general, on the world stage, what is happening stateside, and how it can improve. So we're not only going to discuss this, we're also going to offer some solutions, because the worst thing to do is to criticize and then not offer solutions. Who on earth would do that? Who on earth would do that on social media? Criticize and then not offer any ways to improve? No,
not this
never
guy.
happens.
Never, not this guy.
Ever.
Never. I never complain on Twitter.
We're not gonna do that here. We're gonna talk, we're gonna analyze, we're gonna debate, we're gonna be fair, and then we're going to adjudicate and we're gonna offer solutions. So let's ask the question very deliberately, very directly, Tyler. What went wrong for NA? We saw the results. We saw the heartbreak and the disappointment and the teams going home after groups. It's happened before. It has happened again. It happened last year. We've seen success from NA, but it hasn't been as much as people would like. So what happened?
You want the honest answer? You want the honest, straight to, no BSing. Let's just be straight to it.
Absolutely.
Nothing went wrong for NA outside of, TSM just falling on their face. Nothing really went wrong for NA. NA, as I've said many times before, is the fourth best region. They are better than CIS. They're better than PCS. You can look at, you can talk about how it's a PCS region all you want. The facts show that NA is the fourth best region. They are middle of the road. They are the gatekeepers. They are the bridesmaids. They are the ones who get invited to the party but never actually get to have any bit of the fun. They are always the middleman in this entire equation of the world hierarchy in League of Legends. And if you want that to continue, it'll continue. If you look past at the last few Worlds, even when C9 does extremely well and they go far in the bracket, they usually go 4-2 in the group stage, 3-3. This year, again, 3-3. We had the outlier of TSM being absolutely an abomination. So congratulations to TSM on that. But generally, NA is a region that is always going to do middling. They are going to have a team or two go 3-3. If you're lucky, 4-2. A team that goes 2-4, and then maybe a team that just falls on their face. Like this 6-12 overall record for NA is par of the course. You're always going to have teams that perform pretty well because NA isn't an albatross of talent. Like it's not, this joke of a region. No matter how many times people want to make fun of it, it's a middling region. It's not. And if NA wants to continue being that, and you want to have those stories of C9 because it's going to happen when you have tournaments and you have talent like NA does have. There's going to be times where one or two of these teams does make a quarterfinal run, and maybe if the stars align and they get a good matchup like C9 did with Afrika back in 2018, they can make the semifinals, and we can all clap and hip hip hooray, and it's all great. But NA will never be a top region if they continue with how things are going. Recycling talent, playing with the same players, poor scouting, all of that jazz. If we want to continue with the status quo and just do the same things we've been doing for the last 5-6 years, next year we will send 3 teams to Worlds. One of them will go 3-3, probably losing a tiebreaker. One will go 2-4, maybe 3-3 if they're lucky and not make top 8. And then you'll have a team that goes 1-5 or 0-6, and we will have another middling discussion on this show, and we'll be talking about what went wrong. And really, nothing really went wrong for North America. This is the status quo. And at the end of it, early on, it did look like it would be a dumpster fire. It did look like maybe this would be the outlier year or the first year where it just fell to the bottom and you had a bottoming out. We would see it, the region go, 1-17, 2-16, and that might, shake up the core and really show, embarrass NA enough to, make a drastic change. But we went 6-12, and 2 teams went 3-3, and most of the attention is going to be put on TSM for just going 0-6 and laughing at them.
I don't like cheering for an 8-8 team, Tyler. I don't like cheering for a team that is consistently battling for playoff position, and on the last day of the regular season, they qualify for the playoffs, but then they fizzle out in the first round year after year after year, because that is the most dangerous position to be in all of competition. Why? Because if you're very good, it's easy to stay the same. If you're very bad, it's easy to improve and make decisions. But if you're on the bubble every single year, it is way more difficult to make fundamental changes and pull the trigger on them, because you are always in that vicinity. You always have this false sense of hope that you will improve. You look back at 2018 and say, whoa, C9 made the semifinals, people. Stop overreacting. And then we look at 2020 and we say, FlyQuest beat top esports, people. They won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Are you kidding me? They should have a title match against the eventual winners next year sometime. And these narratives are fun to talk about, and these narratives are great to meme on social media, but that doesn't get any true progress in the region, because we're always in that mode of thinking that it could get better the way that it is. And so that's what I'm wondering, is that this is a very dangerous situation to be in. And what I want to know is, it looks like that for me, who's someone who has really been covering this week over week for a year. But for you, who has seen this for several years, aren't you fed up with this by now?
Oh, yeah. Of course I'm fed up with it. And it's a situation where they just did enough. And they just did enough to not, burn down, right? Like, it did enough where you could make those tweets of, we'll be back stronger next year, and people get a little bit excited about it. You already see it on social media where people are like, oh, FlyQuest went 3-3. Team Liquid did 3-3. That's great. Like, that's great for North America. They beat TS. They beat Suning. They beat G2. That's all left at TSM. TSM's the issue. TSM's the problem. It's all TSM's fault. It's not North America's fault. It's TSM's fault. And to a degree, that is true. Like, we should applaud Team Liquid and FlyQuest for playing well in week 2, both of them going 2-1. If a few things change differently, maybe they make it out of the group stages. And TSM did, blow. Like, it's what was it, like a 6K, 7K gold lead to Genji, the 5-man sleep that turned into a 9-man sleep. Like, we have a lot to criticize about TSM, but overall, I agree. We are the 8-8 team. We are the team that's always going to be on the bubble. NA's never had a team that goes to Worlds and where everyone's like, oh, they're going to go 5-1. They're going to go 6-0. Or, like, most of the advancements, even when we make top 8, are 3-3 tiebreak wins, or a 4-2, and you beat the 2 lower seed teams, but you lose to an SKT. And C9's done that a few times, where they get into the same group as SKT, get smacked by the best team in the world, and they beat up on the lower seeds, and they beat a struggling, a topsy-turvy Chinese team who hasn't found their identity. And then everyone applauds it. It's like, yes, we did it. We're one of the top regions now. And it's these circumstances that, in context, it's far worse than it actually looks on paper, and and it's hard, right? Because you don't want to take away from the FlyQuest victory. You don't want to take away from a very good win, a marquee win for the franchise. That they beat Top Esports, a team that might very well be the world champions this year, but that doesn't make up for the entire region. It doesn't make up for the middling status of North America. And I say this perfectly clear, is that if nothing changes about North America and how the infrastructure is and how teams are built, we are going to send these teams every year, aside from some outliers that are going to go 2-4 and 3-3, 1-5, maybe even 0-6 if you're a TSM or a Clutch Gaming. But we're going to send middling teams, and we're going to have these, moral victories, because these teams aren't made of terrible players. Like, Power of Evil is a world-class player. Core JJ is a dang world champion. He's still one of the best supports in the world. Like, there's talent on these teams, but it's not going to get them over the hump unless you can bring in the next generation to lift up the region. Because you can't always.
Right.
We're on the 7th year of believing in Bjergsen. We're in the 7th year of saying Bjergsen can be the Western hope. But from the time we were talking about how, Bjergsen's the best mid laner ever, like the best Western mid laner, and how he can compete with Faker, and that storyline that's, gone to hell, Caps has already been to two finals, 1 MSI, and already between this time of the single generation of players we've had in North America, Europe's had 3. Europe, the thing with Europe and how they went from this middling status, because the European LCS and NALCS were very close at like the last, like in 2014, 2015, 2016. They are very similar. Like EU was as bad as North America, really, where it was really just everyone kind of looking up at Korea, and China and Europe have skyrocketed. And you've seen, the development leagues of both of those regions, grow, and you've seen so many new talents, blossom from those secondary leagues. And in North America, we're still in the same tropes we had 6 years ago. We're still trying to believe we're still believing in Doublelift and Bjergsen. That is who we're entrusting our entire future in, are two players of a core that we were cheering for 5 years ago and saying those are the guys who are going to bring North America a world title. And then by the time we're still doing that, Europe's gone through like 2 different generations, and we're bringing up new talents every single year. And I don't think we just need to kick out all the old players, because I still think, a Bjergsen and Doublelift can be, performers on the world stage, but you need young talent growing around those players to push them to a level that they aren't being pushed to. So
yeah,
right now, NA is a middling region. We were the 4th best region. Nothing's changed. And I look forward to next year when we do this again, and, Team Liquid goes 3-3. And 100 Thieves goes 2-4, and TSM goes 1-5.
Well, good for Papa Smithy, though.
Yeah,
he turned it around. Okay,
turned it around. 2-4, baby.
Papa. Well done. Good job.
2-4. Yeah, great.
Is Ryoma still on the team?
But we don't know yet. Maybe they pick up Jensen. Who knows? But
let me ask you a question before we move on to our solutions, because there are ways to improve the league. I'm sure that you've heard many of them before, but I do have one thought here. One thing that I am sensing, I'm picking up from the way that the region is discussed, is that it's no longer how close is NA to the top 3 regions. Like, how close is NA to EU, LCK, LPL? That conversation is not happening right now. What's happening is, how close is NA to the wild card region? So we're looking backwards. We're talking about, if the VCS were here, maybe they would have unseated NA, or Unicorns of Love had the opportunity to bolster the CIS. Those are the kind of conversations are having. So what I'd like to know is, how dire, if you were to compare this to previous years, just look back and compare where we are right now as a state of NA to the past. How dire are the conversations, and how dire is the sentiment as compared previously?
I think the fan sentiment, I think it's better than last year, because I think fans see what they last see, right? And the last impression of North America at Worlds 2020 was FlyQuest beating Top Esports and smashing Unicorns of Love. And that leaves you on a good note, right? Where it's an honorable death. People talk about FlyQuest. They talk about Team Liquid's, almost playoff run, and people just laugh at TSM. And I think for the most part, people are just going to be laughing at TSM, and that's going to be the main takeaway for most fans, just on the surface level going into 2021, where people will just laugh and giggle at TSM and say, NA wasn't supposed to do anything this year anyway. TL and FlyQuest showed that, NA's not a terrible region. They're still the 4th best region. TSM, LOL, what were they doing? But I can tell you, a friend of mine from another region who's at a high position in another, top League of Legends region, he messaged me and he said, when is NA going to get 2 seeds? I feel like they need 2 seeds, because they are going far closer to wild cards than they are to the main 3 regions. And it was something that was like, yeah, like this was right after FlyQuest beat Top Esports. And it was like, yeah, like the people who are really in the know, the people who are in regions of actual power in the League of Legends hierarchy, they're not scared of North America. They're not scared of North America at all. They might see them as the cute little brother who might send one team to go a bit far. They might make a semifinals, make an international finals. But as a region overall, Europe, China, and South Korea don't really look at North America as a challenger or rival. They look at them as a cute little side. They look at them as like a cute little sideshow. Like it's like, oh, how cute! Like North America, they're gonna spend $400,000 on another big import that's on the way down, and they're not seen as like a real rival. They're seen as this afterthought of oh, good for you, and that's not what you want to be, especially when you have so much money and so many eyes on the scene. Like, again, it's not the biggest region, but it's still 2 million plus people playing the game in North America. It still gives a large viewership in North America, tons of sponsorships in North America. It's where the game was made, Arda. This is where we were supposed to bring home the championship. We're like England in soccer, right? Like we're England football. Sorry, European fans. Football. We're like England in football, right? Like
England hasn't won the World Cup since the '60s either. I'm just saying.
In 60 years we'll be talking about this.
Fired now because our producer's English, but
in 60 years we'll be doing the same thing. We'll be like, one day the North American teams will bring home the Summer's Cup where it was made. Like we're the fourth best region, and we're an afterthought. We're a gatekeeper.